What's
Music,
going on,
music.
people? How
What's
you
up?
doing?
What's up?
We got
Oh,
some music going on here. We got a
yes.
live going on here.
How are you?
And yeah, let's talk about the race, man. Definitely nowhere near as exciting as
No,
Vegas.
God no.
Like not even remotely as
not
exciting
even,
as Vegas.
not even close. Not
But
even
also
close.
not completely boring, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
No, I wouldn't even say it's as exciting as Singapore was. Um, but again, not completely boring either. Um, just an okay race. No safety car, no red flags, no
I
yellow
was,
flags,
I
not.
was, I was hoping for safety car or some sort to get the excitement.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
no, it's like smooth, uh, peaceful race. To be honest.
Yeah, maybe a little too peaceful.
Yep.
What up, Crispy? How you doing, brother? Thank you very much for the Thanksgiving messages, by the way. I appreciate that a lot, dude. It was very kind of you. Uh, the yeah, the race was, like I said, like I wasn't completely bored. I wasn't like dozing off throughout the race, but I also wasn't like hyper enthusiastic about it either.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. Me
know?
too. Yeah. It's definitely not the greatest race.
Yeah. Congratulations, though, to Red Bull on an absolutely
Dominant.
dominant season.
Yeah.
You know, that RB19 really showed its worth, and it seems that finally, as the season was ending, Checo was really getting a hold of the car.
Finally.
Yeah, Checo had a massive drive.
Yeah.
The last few races, actually, he really did very well. I think he
Yeah.
kind of put rumors to rest of him, being ousted from Red Bull. Nobody's talking about that anymore.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, Verstappen, of course, 13-second gap at the end.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like
Both of the Ripple got a free pit stop.
yeah, yeah. I mean, but really, like, great drive. The real story was, Ferrari versus Mercedes
I
in
mean,
the Constructors' Championship.
they they secured P2 in the constructors, and that's gonna be a huge boost for them because as far as car development goes and the budget and stuff, they're gonna
Yeah,
get a little bit out of the equation.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, and by 3 points, that's it. You
Yeah.
know, it, it's really funny to me, but like on some level, like I mean, I'm happy for Mercedes. They need it. They really do need it.
Yeah.
Um, and even Ferrari kind of needs it as well. You know, but it almost feels like neither team especially deserves it.
Yeah. Yeah. I get what you're coming from.
Yeah, like neither team had really like an amazing season,
Decent. Yeah.
you know,
Like
to really like
both of the team, it's always up and down, up and down, and up and down.
so up and down,
Yeah.
you know?
Especially for Ferraris. Like Mercedes is okay, but
Yeah.
Ferraris is like it's so unstable and so inconsistent.
What really actually surprised me towards the end of the season, especially with both of the teams, was you almost had a flip-flop in performance between their drivers,
Yeah.
right? Like
That's true.
throughout the season, like yeah, maybe Hamilton didn't qualify as well, but he would be absolutely dominant within the races, and then Russell would fall back.
Yeah.
And then same thing with Leclerc and
And
Sainz.
science.
Leclerc's one lap could be really good, but then Sainz would dominate in the race, oftentimes telling kind of like the team, yo, like I have better pace. Let me get ahead of Leclerc. And as the season ended, we saw kind of the opposite. I mean, for God's sakes, Russell was the only reason at the end of the race today that Mercedes clinched, the P2 and the constructors, and Sainz was like,
he has a bad weekend again.
Yeah. I mean, straight from the crash to, in I think it was FP1 to, kind of just not having the pace in the race. It was not his weekend at all.
Also, it's not Hamilton's weekend.
No, not
for
at
the second time in a row.
Yeah, man. Like he just couldn't get the setup dialed in on the car, and I think this is where I bring it up a lot, but where I have an issue with the sprint races, because basically this weekend there was no sprint race, but with the crash in FP1, the very limited time in representative conditions in FP2, and then just like, their time in FP3, a lot of the people were saying it is or was essentially like a sprint weekend.
Yeah.
They didn't really have a lot of time to set up and really like Hamilton, I think in FP2 got like 4 laps, like that's not enough to set a car,
Yeah. But I'm just so glad that this season is over, to be honest, because it's a miserable season congrats to Red Bull teams and drivers.
Yeah.
But again, having such a dominant car, it's good, but it's boring at the same time.
Yeah. Even if it's your team, like we've said that before, that like during the Schumacher era and even like the Lewis Hamilton dominant era, it gets boring seeing your guy, like especially if they have a huge gap, like constantly coming in first. You're just like, okay, well, where's the wheel-to-wheel action? I'm basically just tuning in to see who comes in second, third, fourth, fifth, and like nobody watches competitive sports for that reason, So I'm with you. Like this season has kind of felt like pulling teeth, where you're just like, okay,
it's be over already.
yeah. Like I don't need to watch the race. I could watch the race in 30. I even asked. So funny story actually about today. Like I woke up a bit late and got a late start on watching the race, and Joe had already finished watching the replay. And about 30 minutes into it, we were texting each other, and I asked him, I was like, should I just watch the race in 30? We can do the live like a little bit earlier. Like, am I going to really miss anything? And he was like, oh, it wasn't a bad race, But like, that's kind of been the theme of the season, It's...
I mean, you will not miss anything just by watching the highlights.
Right. And
that's the only thing that you will miss is some of the strategies that they have to go through, but ultimately the result is the same.
yeah, and to me, like that lends credence to why we need to have like a more competitive field, kind of going forward. Again, props to Red Bull. They figured out the formula. They did. I don't want to handicap them because that handicaps innovation. I just want the other teams to get their shit together.
To catch up with Red Bull.
Yeah.
That's really everything. Like develop the car like Red Bull does,
Mhm.
and we have a competitive racing.
Dude, everybody's switching to pull rod next season.
Yeah.
Like guaranteed, guaranteed. You're gonna see an entire field of pull rod, and then Adrian Newey is gonna be like, "Nope, fake you out. We're gonna do push rod."
Yeah. But yeah, that car is so dominant, and then it's going to be on top with every classic dominant car in the history of Formula One.
I was thinking about that actually at the end of the race. I was like, if Verstappen doesn't like buy or get one of those RB19s from Red Bull and literally like hang it on his wall, then that man has no soul, because that car,
It's something else.
yeah, seriously. Like that car basically, like, if there was any question of the validity of his championship in 2021, and then you said, oh, well, okay, maybe Mercedes had a crap season with the new pod design and the new regs in 2022, this season, that car and him were like, what's the term? The Japanese have a term between synergy, between horse and rider. I think it's like shul or something like
No
that.
idea. I have no idea.
But they achieved that.
Yeah.
They achieved like perfect harmony
Yeah.
between the driver and the car.
Yeah.
You know, and that car and him are just like they achieved fusion. If you watch like DBZ, they fusion. Ha! You know,
It just feel like they are synchronized.
100%.
So
You know,
it's really hard to beat, even with a good car, because you have a driver like Max. And I'm still waiting for the answers of what's gonna be. I mean, we kind of have some answers. Well, not answers, but solutions for the problem with a lot of teams. Like they say they have a new cars and they're gonna develop something similar, because we have seen jump in performance for the last few races for
yeah,
with a lot of the teams, but especially Mercedes, they say they're gonna have. I was watching the post race interview,
yeah.
Moto, and then he's so optimistic about, oh, we're gonna have so much in our pockets next season, and then we understand the car, we understand the regulations. I'm like, you said that the same thing last year.
Exactly. They said that when they announced the Zero Pod.
Yeah.
They said that when they announced the new car at the start of this season.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
again, I'm still very curious to see what they're gonna have for next season.
Of course.
Either it's bad or good or bad. It doesn't matter. I just want to see how it move forward.
Yeah, if they're gonna actually like kind of put things together, you know,
the right way, and listen to the driver.
yeah, it's for sure still up in the air without, I mean, in my eyes, you know. Now let's go through the performance of all of the drivers, you know. How do you think Leclerc fared throughout the race?
I mean, he actually has some strategy going on in the end of the race, the
Which was very interesting.
Which is interesting because you normally see that from Sainz.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like, okay, maybe Leclerc has something in his mind that he learned from Sainz as a racing driver that needs to be smart, and I think we've seen that today for Leclerc to think it more long term, not like hothead.
Yeah. He was definitely thinking about the end of the race and the end of the season, which was an interesting.
And we have a good race for him as well for Las Vegas, and also this race as well. So it's interesting to see that he actually learns stuff.
He definitely showed some degree of, I don't know, you want to call it maturation, evolution as a driver, what, but we definitely saw a different Leclerc
Yeah,
in
in
the
the last.
last few races, Um Now, what about, Perez?
I mean, Perez for me, it's always that guy that it's he will definitely catch up to finish strong because he has he has the RB19, and with
Yeah,
his racecraft, I mean, I feel like he's still a little bit caution about that car
yeah.
because you've seen like he hit Lando and he's kind of just fighting his way through the field. But
But did
overall,
he hit Lando
or I don't know, like either Lando hit him but it doesn't really matter. And for me, it's not a
Yeah,
5-second penalties. It's just I feel like it's just racing incident, to be honest.
100% agreed there.
but like I don't know, like Checo this season has been mystery for me.
I agree. He's been a little all over the place,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
He went on a period of madness where he was just like destroying the car and crashing to like now the last few races he seems like composed and focused and really like putting in the work that we know he's capable of. So it's been very interesting to watch him throughout the season, but he has been fairly inconsistent,
He's very inconsistent actually.
kind of like Russell as well. Russell's been kind of the same, where he's been doing this, up and down throughout the season, from unforced errors to being Mr. Saturday.
Yeah.
I mean, really, like they kind of pointed it out at the end of the race. Like, this is only his second podium the entire season,
Yeah.
So I've been wondering for a long time his value, but he kind of stuck with it today, and I appreciated hearing him over the radio asking about the standings and where they needed to be.
He's also asking about how is Lewis doing.
Yeah, exactly. So they really wanted to focus in on getting the points that they needed. So it definitely showed me that he's putting a bit more into it, but I wonder really towards the end if he could have extracted a bit more performance out of the car than he did.
I mean, that car is just
the race.
That car is just it's bad.
Yeah, they literally should take that car and drop it in the trash bin. Yeah, 100%. Now, what about Sainz? What are your thoughts about Sainz, both in the race and over the season?
I still like Sainz a lot.
Yeah,
more than Leclerc. He's just one of those guys where he's using his brain to drive and he's being smart about it. But today, it's just he's trying to fight his way through, and I mean he has a big crash in qualifying.
Yeah.
So,
do you think Acid Test Kids brought up an interesting point earlier? He said that he thought that Sainz may have a bit of like PTSD from the crash in FP1.
I mean, I don't think he has PTSD. I think he just be caution about the crash because he doesn't. Because from Las Vegas, he's also been into this situation where he's starting from behind and trying to fight his way through. And today as well. So I think he's just trying to be cautious about the car and not like take it, and also play the long term game, not like pushing it very hard and pushing the tires.
I wonder, like a lot of these guys, what's really fascinating about a lot of racers is like crashes don't really affect them as much as
Yeah.
we think they do. I mean, look at Grosjean. Grosjean literally walked through a gateway to hell in his crash. You know, the guy literally emerged from fire, and he's in IndyCar the very next season.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Like
so
their mentality is different.
yeah.
They are built different.
Yeah, literally. I mean, like you can see this also in other forms of racing, like MotoGP. Guys will crash their bikes, break their hands, break their feet, and literally like go into the pits, get wrapped up, and hop right back up on the bike and finish the race with broken bones. You know,
Crazy.
so they have, I don't think they get as affected by crashing as we think they do, you know, or maybe as much as we would if we were in their positions.
And I think for Sainz, it's not him being very slow. It's just everybody's pace is good.
I don't think he got the car set up the way
Yeah.
he needed to for the race.
Yeah.
You know,
And also that too. And if you look at the race, if you look at the timing and the interval and stuff,
yeah,
in the beginning in the first stint or first half of the race, everybody is within the 1 second zone,
yeah,
which means everybody's pace is good. So
yeah.
it's not him being very, very slow by any means. It's just it's also
Yeah.
makes him very hard to overtake because yard strain and everything.
Yeah, and I wonder about things like maybe they didn't dial in the ride height. You know, maybe he didn't get the roll stiffness that he needed out of the car. So he wasn't getting enough downforce. Maybe he was running too much wing, so he wasn't getting his straight line speed that he was like Leclerc was getting. So if you think about it, like the crash may not play on him psychologically, but definitely did in terms of car setup.
Yeah, for sure, because
You know,
I don't remember what caused him to crash, but it feels like he lost the car in the corner, and so maybe that's why they changed the car setup.
yeah. I mean,
To
the low
compensate.
ride height is most likely what caused the crash. So
Yeah,
maybe they went too high.
the Corona fake.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I still maintain Sainz, despite his performance today, has been the premier
Yeah.
driver for Ferrari throughout the season.
Yeah.
You know, and it's easy to remember the most recent race and most recent performance, but if you look at his achievements throughout the season, it's very hard for me to say that Leclerc is absolutely the number one in the team anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
No, his performance overall is better.
Yeah.
As far as not like in single race, but overall season, his performance is much stronger and much faster
and more consistent.
Yeah.
Absolutely more consistent. Now, speaking of, what about Norris? What's your take on Norris throughout the season and year?
Not really Norris. I mean, Norris is good, but if you look at McLaren as a whole team, they really come out with their games, and that car is, if everything is perfect in condition and everything is the driver is perfect, condition is perfect, they can really fight for the championship, or not the championship, but fight for the front row.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, think about it. Like, they ended up fourth in the season. They're about 100 points down from Ferrari and Mercedes, right? But the gap between Mercedes, Ferrari, and McLaren is much less than the gap between Mercedes and Red Bull,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
Red Bull led the points by about 450 points,
yeah,
right? Whereas the gap between Mercedes and McLaren was literally 107 points.
yeah,
So that gives credence to what you're saying, that in all reality, like McLaren, they started out rough, but they continuously improved that platform. And Norris was real, and even Piastri were
yeah. I was.
finding better synergy with the car. I would say
He,
they're maybe 70% of where, Red Bull is with Verstappen and the RB19, but it is possible next season they will be in contention, for uh, P1, P2,
yeah,
P3.
and that's what we wanted to see, right? Because we were all saying that we wanted to see several teams fighting for the championship,
Yeah,
not just dominate one team dominate the whole season.
yeah, yeah. If there's a team that I'm watching out for, it's
McLaren.
definitely McLaren,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
Uh,
And if you look at in the beginning, if you look at the whole stats, in the beginning, Mercedes is McLaren is very far behind in terms of the standings,
yeah,
and a lot of teams are moving forwards. But McLaren somehow I remember it's from Hungarian Grand Prix or something.
yeah,
They kind of just get the performance back, and then everybody kind of just stopped gaining more performance.
yeah.
So,
No, but not them. They really,
yeah, they were on on the fast pace.
yeah. No, they were on like a constant charge
Yeah.
to improve. They like, if I remember correctly, about like a little bit more than a third through the season, they did their first big upgrade package. They had a big jump. Then they dipped down for a couple of races, and then they were just on this constant ramp up of performance.
And
Um,
man, Oscar Piastri, he's on podium for several times this season, and it's only
Yeah.
his first year.
Yeah, I mean, Piastri definitely. I mean, his placement in the final driver's standings, I don't think represents what an achievement he had. Like, he ended up ninth behind Russell, but really, I mean, for his teammate to have 205 points, for him to have 97 points in his rookie season is really amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Like, Latifi had years in the sport and never
get on the podium.
Yeah, never got on the podium. Would barely get any points in a season, if he got any. So
Oh, man, I miss Latifi.
yeah, Latifi was the GOAT, man. But
we need to bring out Latifi because it's Abu Dhabi.
yeah, exactly. No, but Piastri did absolutely phenomenal. Norris still is proving my opinion that he has the capabilities of being a world champion without question.
How do you think of Alonso today?
Alonso, okay. Aside from his brake check of Hamilton,
Yeah,
which was kind of shitty, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
He had a very aggressive and good drive overall. I mean, his final position kind of shows that, but yeah, I kind of wish that he had a better car,
Yeah.
if I'm honest.
Aston Martin it's a mystery because they were strong in the beginning of the season, They were even fighting for finding Red Bull in the first few race of the season, but then they just falling apart. Like throughout the season, it's weird.
But
or not, or maybe not. Maybe not. They are falling apart, but just people playing catch up.
Yeah, they've definitely been playing catch up, and they have been improving. But their rate of improvement, like if you were to look at it as a graph, like they were at the same level as like McLaren at one point, and their rate of improvement slowed. You know, like again, if you think about it like a graph, if McLaren's rate was up here, you know, Aston Martin's rate was here. So as time went on, the gap just became bigger, you know. And again, what's very interesting is like Alonso had his best performance today, you know, which was phenomenal, you know. But for me, almost the real story in the last two races has been Stroll's surprising, how shall I say, like sudden maturity.
Yeah, he doesn't crash into anybody.
Doesn't crash into anybody. Doesn't drive in a dangerous fashion.
Yeah,
you know, like he surprisingly looked like a real racer instead of a petulant, you know, daddy's boy who was only there because his dad wanted to spend a lot of money on him. Like it's was actually really surprising. I mean, like I said, it doesn't erase everything that he did throughout the season. Like he was and has been a genuinely dangerous driver throughout a lot of the season, you know. Genuinely was a bad teammate, you know, and not a team player throughout the season, right? But it's just very strange. In the last like two races here, he's suddenly shown like, oh wait, I have the capacity for not being a complete douchebag, both on the track and off, you know. So I suspect he had a stern talking to by some people that were like, yo, you need to get your stuff together, or you're off the team. We don't care who your daddy is.
I still think that he doesn't deserve a Formula One seat. I still think that
he hasn't displayed.
I mean, at least
the maturity of the driver.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not saying that we deserve a Formula One seat or anything. No. We are not, but we're just look at in the grandstand of things, right?
Yeah. No, like, and that brings into question like another driver as well in Yuki Tsunoda, right? Yuki Tsunoda may not have been driving as dangerously as Stroll throughout the season, but he's also like a petulant, angry, you know, borderline not team player who kind of like sucked it up the last, you know, few races.
And today was his best result.
Yeah.
So it's surprising, and then there's one point in time that he actually lead the race.
Yeah, which is like
what?
Crazy. You know.
But I don't know if Yuki Tsunoda, if he keep on driving like this, is he gonna lose the seat?
Yeah.
Or if he still have short temper, is he gonna lose the seat? Because it's very on the edge. I feel like from in and the team.
100%. I mean, really, like the again, his performance throughout the season hasn't been that great. He finally started to like rein it in a little bit towards the end of the season. I think he probably had the same realization that Stroll did, that like, you can't act and behave like this and still keep your position within the team. You know, all of these guys are replaceable. There is a whole gaggle of dudes in, F2 who would love to take their positions away from them. There's enough uh, enough drivers in also the respective driving like the accelerator programs, right? So AlphaTauri is part of Red Bull. Man, they've got some talented people waiting to take those positions, right? Look even at whatchamacallit, like Daniel Ricciardo. The guy literally was gone for like a year, and immediately came back and got a seat. So, like, you can easily be replaced.
And
So
speaking of Daniel Ricciardo,
yeah,
I kind of see a little bit of his old racecraft for the last few races.
a little bit,
right?
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, like, I mean, I'm not wondering, but I'm expected him to do more next season with new cars and new, like, playing equal from the start of the season.
I hope so. It seems like he gave up the idea that he is going to be a world champion,
and that's a good thing. Like,
yeah,
if he give up the idea, then he put his mind into like what's in front of him. It's better. He become a better driver and better performance.
Yes, exactly. Like, and it's funny because I think that's really the way to being, like a champion on some level, right? Like, yes, you'd love it, but you gotta love the racing first. You can't convince the world that you're a world champion or your world championship material with words. You have to do it with actions.
You have to have performance.
Yes. And that was his problem, right? Once Drive to Survive came out and all of that stuff, he was trying to convince the world that he was a world champion through words, through PR. And he didn't have the performance to prove it, like on any level. So, he definitely wouldn't have been if he stuck with Red Bull, because Red Bull went like full in on Max Verstappen, right? But who knows where he might have been if he had stuck with, McLaren or Alpine, like realistically. So, but hey, Piastri's probably very happy that he decided to leave McLaren because it gave him a seat.
yeah.
And he left just as the car and the team was starting to get
new cars and new upgrade,
get their stuff together. So
yep.
Speaking of Alpine, though,
they are somehow weird.
Yeah, they're in a really odd place team-wise, because there definitely seems to be a very strong degree of competition between Gasly and Ocon, and
it's very funny that either one of them doesn't want to back down. And to each other, which is not ideal in some occasions,
they've definitely been at each other's throats on more than one occasion, and I'm not sure if it's hurting the team, but if you really think about it, like, they ended up 6th in the points, the team, and really almost like a third of the way down from like Ferrari and Mercedes, so it's, I don't know, like, they made a lot of progress, You know, again, they're one of those teams that really kind of dramatically improve their pace throughout the season. But still, something's not working there for sure.
Sure.
And
And their car is slow. They are the slowest engine manufacturer
mhm,
in Formula One. I mean, they are the only manufacturer that doesn't have customers.
yeah, which is really interesting
Yeah.
because, like,
And
if you think about it, I'm sure Red Bull is so happy that they dropped
Yeah.
them as an engine supplier.
yeah. So it's but again, it's like if you don't have any customers, then your engine is only for you. Can you make that better?
Well, and that's part of the thing. There was a lot of like suspicion that they were doing that, you know,
Yeah,
that
but
they were giving the hot versions
Yeah.
of their engines to their team and then
yeah,
kind of like a cut rate setup to, you know, like Red Bull.
Oh.
But, you know, like just as you said, if they have it in house, they should know how to get more out of it.
yeah,
I think that the engine may be okay, kind of like the Mercedes, right?
the
The
design.
problem isn't the
aerodynamic.
engine; it's the rest of the setup,
Yeah.
you know. But what did you think about that undercut on Gasly?
Again, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what the team is doing, and I don't think Gasly like it.
Oh, no, he was very upset about it. He
Yeah.
was incredibly upset about it.
So I don't like in that case. I don't know. I don't have any. I mean, like
It
both
seemed
of
to
them.
defy logic a little bit.
Yeah.
Like,
It's really hard for me to say because I don't know. It's I just it's really,
yeah. And it's funny because he still came out ahead of Ocon,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But, like, why? There was no
Maybe-
explanation over team radio.
So that's
you know.
I think that's just a strategy mistake. Or
Yeah.
a timing mistake, to be honest. And like for Alpine, well, the team doesn't want to admit who is the number one driver, as far as
Yeah.
I know. So they always do this let them race strategy and just do whatever it is.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, I don't think they have their logic together the way they need to, you know. Genuinely, it's they seem to be a little all over the place, you know. And yeah,
I don't know.
I don't really have a good answer.
Alpine is one of the team that I don't understand.
Yeah, definitely. They leave me kind of speechless. Let's see who else.
Alfa Romeo.
Alfa Romeo for absolutely forgettable season.
Yeah. Bottas' performance is very, very bad.
More than Bottas, it
Wow.
really seemed like Zoe was going to be, you know, like last season, I think he had a better season than this one.
Yeah.
And so that tells me that the car may really have issues.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate to see because I do think he is a very talented and capable driver. But man, like last season, he was kicking Valtteri's ass, you know, and then all of a sudden this season, he's kind of like, meh, you know. So I don't know, man. Like, I hate to see it because Alfa Romeo is such a legendary team, you know, in the field, but they gotta rebuild the car. They gotta redo something. You
And
know,
I feel like
it's not working.
Alfa Romeo, it's not really Alfa Romeo in Formula One. It's just the sponsor and the name.
Yeah,
It mainly comes down to Sauber. So whatever Sauber is doing, it's not working.
no,
And next, and there is not a rumor, but Audi I think it's Audi or Porsche is going to be with Sauber in 2026. So
yeah. They need some new blood, kind of, in them. But it's whatever they're doing is not working.
not working. And same as Williams. Like, I mean, where are they today?
Yeah. I mean, it's really strange because
Alex Albon was kicking
yeah,
a few races ago.
yeah, and it just all of a sudden he had this like big fall off today, and I don't understand why. It was kind of like you didn't see them throughout the race.
It's like they have never been there.
Yeah,
Like they take a day off or something, a weekend off.
yeah, it was just like surprising, completely surprising. And then same with Haas. Haas has had such a wavy up and down roller coaster ride of a year, and they've been talked about. We've seen them, but it's almost like they didn't really exist in the race today.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting kind of position that they find themselves going forward. I wonder how much longer they're going to be like a real serious team in F1 sometimes. It's like they keep dumping money. How much longer is that going to last? Before their title sponsor, a lot of their sponsors just say, okay,
You guys are
we're done.
yeah.
Really? I think that's a valid question to ask, So, circling all the way back, though, and very interesting end to the season. Definitely not as exciting as it was in Las Vegas, but also not completely
bad.
boring. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Again, I'm so happy this season is over and we got a few months of break.
Yeah, me too.
And yeah, I'm so happy.
Yeah, I need to step away for a little while from F1 and just be like, okay, maybe we can find another way to enjoy this. Because just watching one team dominate the entire season is not enjoyable.
Not fun. It's not fun.
Yeah, it's just boring. I know, like, a lot of you guys would like to have a little bit more kind of enthused estimation of the season, but I can't lie. I can't really lie,
Gosh.
Yeah, man. It's
it's a mystery. This season is a mystery.
mostly a mystery of where all the other teams were in comparison to Red Bull.
It's like this season feels like Red Bull are, racing themselves.
Mhm.
There's no one behind them, just one team in Formula 1 2023.
That's what it's been like all season long, And again,
Uh,
I said it before, I'll say it again. Like I don't want to hinder their development or their capabilities. I'm not throwing shade on them. Like Adrian Newey is a freaking monster, for what he created. But dude, F1 needs to figure out how to make the field more competitive. And that's really the long and short of it for me, Really, it's man, yeah, hopefully Max will start losing next season, Dude, and even like we were saying this earlier for English Lies, that like even if you're a Red Bull fan, like how
yeah.
exciting is it to literally tune in and watch your driver lead the race by like minimum 10 seconds, max 20 plus seconds,
No,
like
like
it gets old.
yeah, like for me, if I'm a Red Bull fan to watch and I'm tuning to Max, I wouldn't even watch live because I know he's gonna win. I would just
Right,
I would just watch the highlights.
right. And that's kind of my point, is that like, okay, your guy's gonna win. Why are you gonna sit and waste 2 hours plus of your day just to see how he's gonna win? You can watch the highlights, get the same takeaway, and
Because
you
there's
know,
really nothing else that is other than just the cars dominate and the cars
yeah,
fast, just drive through the field. The same
yeah,
thing. No matter where he lost control, no matter where the strategy failed, he can always use that speed and use his. I mean, don't get me wrong. Max and the Red Bull W19, well not W, RB19
yeah,
dominate, and it's such a genius car that they created. But again, it's like you can use that opportunity, that advantage to just cruise through the field and still winning, which
yeah,
is I'm not I don't I'm not tuning in to watch freeway speed, freeway race.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's, hopefully, like I said, the field gets the other teams really figure it out and figure out how to really make it more competitive, because the current state of affairs is definitely just snooze fest, like 100% snooze fest, like we were saying, Vegas definitely the best race of the season.
Vegas should be season finale.
Yeah, and dude, CPM, they did introduce potholes to the season
Vegas.
when they did it in Vegas.
Yeah.
We saw what it did to Sainz's car, and yeah. So I think that's our kind of take on the whole season, guys. Like we kind of went through all the drivers, we went through all of the teams, kind of talked about them. We'll leave you with this: predictions for next season. What do you think, Joe? Yeah, just Red Bull.
Yeah, just Red Bull again. 2024. 2024 is my prediction. To be honest, my prediction is going to be Red Bull, McLaren, Ferrari.
Oh, you think that Mercedes? Yeah. You've lost faith that Mercedes?
I mean, I'm not losing faith of Mercedes. Just they have losing faith on us.
Yeah.
Because they keep on saying, "Oh, they have big progress, they have big performance gain," but they still doesn't listen to their drivers.
Yeah. We'll see. Supposedly that's changed. There's definitely been some reshuffling at Mercedes. So we should see
least-
some changes.
At
You
least the new W15 is going to be developed under James Allison.
Yeah.
So, which is good because he's the chief engineer for techno engineer, chief techno engineer for the most dominant Formula One car in turbo hybrid era,
Yeah.
which is the W13, I think,
Mhm.
black Mercedes. So
Yeah.
I have faith on that in that case.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the hope, you know.
Yeah, that's the hope. Yeah.
I'm kind of in the same boat with you, where I still expect a lot of Red Bull dominance, just because I think Adrian Newey's insight and knowledge and experience with ground effect just puts them so far ahead of the game.
Far ahead. Yeah. And they haven't developed their car since August.
Yeah.
And
So-
they are still 13 to 16 second maximum 20 seconds ahead of the field.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? So I do expect we'll see a bit more of the same kind of going into next season. The question is, how will the teams counterpunch, you know? And I do think that there is potential from teams, like you said, like McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes, but I'm not hopeful. I think really what we'll probably see is that by 2025, the teams will finally get an idea on the new regs. We'll have one year of competitive racing, and then 2026, we're going to everyone's going to start from scratch again, you know? So it is what it is, but we will see you guys next season. 97 days. We have a bit of a vacation, so enjoy it. And we thank you guys. We do have a bit of drama to look forward to. There's going to be cost cap drama and all of that stuff. So we'll keep an eye out for that. If we do see that, we may do a live or we may do a video about it. But yeah, guys, enjoy the off season. Spend time with your loved ones. Hope you guys have a good holiday, whatever you celebrate, wherever you are. And yeah, thanks for joining us.
Early Happy New Year's, guys.
Yes. Yeah. Happy early New Year. Alrighty, guys. Peace.